So I worked in industrial relations for 3 years, and then I felt this sort of pull to the teaching profession because my mum and dad were both teachers. They've recently retired after 40 years in the public sector. My grandma was a teacher as well. So it felt inevitable that I would end up in the profession. And it was a really interesting, obviously, career switch and change of pace, because you go from being based in an office or in workplaces to a very frenetic, day-to-day pace working in schools, but just so incredibly rewarding and such a really rich and rewarding profession to change into. I think anytime you stand up in front of a room full of teenagers, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So there certainly were things that I did feel a bit nervous about going into the profession, and I wasn't sure, what's the reality that's going to be facing me in the classroom. We talk about educational disadvantage, what is that going to play out like? What is that going to mean in my classroom? So there were some things that made me nervous making the switch, but very quickly, once you start to build relationships with your students and parents and families, those nerves disappear because you realise that it is incredibly rewarding. By doing the leadership development program through TFA, I really felt really well supported. I had this wraparound system of support through my in-school mentor, my TFA mentor. I felt just incredibly supported, and it made the switch so much easier because it was an employment-based pathway that I could take to get into the teaching profession. That meant that I didn't have any time out of the workforce. I was able to get right into a classroom on the ground, earning a wage, building those skills while being surrounded by all of our support that the program provides. I would say to anyone who was considering making the switch to teaching, do it, jump in. The profession needs people from a diverse range of life experiences, backgrounds, professions. It is so rewarding. It's also just fun. Teenagers, for all of the bad stuff that you hear about them, they're just delightful. They're really just great, raw, vulnerable, hilarious people to work with. And I would say just don't hesitate, jump in. You won't regret making the change.